Hey everyone, this is Adam Morrow. Expect to see a lot more of me on here. We'll probably be doing some videos on YouTube, Instagram, drop some stuff on Twitter. You can find it on our website, www.flexprogrip.com as well. And today you can see I'm joined by Carter Geschwind. So I took the fun out of it by saying his last name. Because it would just be way too fun of a contest to have everyone try to guess on how to say it. But Carter joined us with a kind of a funky story, weird connections. The baseball world's way too small. So you just end up crossing paths with people. So we're just going to run through kind of Carter's story, what he's doing here with us today. And you guys will start to see a lot of him over the coming months. So we'll just kick it off. Carter, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a high school senior down here in West Palm Beach, Florida. I play at my high school at King Academy, and been playing baseball my whole life. So it's really a big part of who I am and everything else. And obviously struggling a little bit now with the TJ, but we're getting right with it. So that's where we're going with it.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned you're a high school senior. So I definitely want to hear who you are as a baseball player, but also just give us a quick insight into like who you are off the field too. Because like I know you told me this crazy fact the other day, like you built a program on your computer to do your physics homework for you. So yeah, I think everybody wants to know who you are as a ball player, but like that's the most interesting fact I've heard about you yet.
Well, a little bit about me off the field. I'm big into my schoolwork and everything else, like a lot of the other student athletes in this world. But I've been trying to take it to another level lately and try to, bump that side of my schoolwork and everything else up to prepare myself for college. And obviously, I'm taking a physics course this year, but I don't have time to do that homework. So I use my knowledge of computer science to make a program to do all my physics homework and everything else. But I'm trying to adapt that for a few other things now too. So if anybody wants to buy one of those, I will be open to selling out that code here pretty soon. But um, outside of that, I'm just a kind of a fun dude. I love to surf, love to fish like everybody else down here in Florida. I've been big into helping people for a long time. I've been volunteering out of my church for a while now. Um, and I've been doing various other things. I helped out the Girl Scouts on one occasion, building some stuff for them and everything else, and just trying to give back to the community that's given me so much over the last bunch of years as far as baseball goes. And then obviously, I'm getting to go to a great school right now, so I gotta give back when I get the chance.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, thanks for kind of painting the picture of who you are. Now your other identity. Sadly, you're not getting to compete right now, but who are you on the field, on the mound? Just take us through Carter Gishwind, the baseball player.
So me as a baseball guy, it's funny. I have all my buddies when I'm on the mound, they call me by my middle name because they say I'm two different people. Off the
Hmm.
field, I'm the fun, happy, loving guy. On the field, if you're in the box, you're my enemy. I'm ready to come after you. And I took a great love for closing. I've loved to be that reliever closer guy that comes in, shuts the door, gets the job done, even in the most stressful of situations. Give me bases loaded, no outs, I'll get out of it. That's just what I love. I love that pressure. I love that intensity. So pretty intense guy on the field, pretty chill guy off the field.
For sure. So prior to your injury, kind of where were your pitches? Like what velo were we working with? What was your arsenal? And I'm guessing that you're not a full-time closer at your high school. I'd assume, it's high school ball. You might have a good team. You are in South Florida, so there are going to be some talented kids. But I'm gonna guess if you're a guy that was attracting a lot of high D1 interest prior to getting hurt, there's no way you were a closer only, right?
No, I did my fair share of starting. My freshman sophomore year, I made varsity both years, and I was primarily the closer guy both of those years.
Okay.
My junior year, I made a bunch of starts. did pretty well as a starter. Made some more starts over the summer, last bunch of years, and everything else. So, I mean, I love doing that. That's definitely a huge thing for me. It's good to be out there on the mound anytime. There's
Right.
no doesn't matter what inning you're getting outs, you're having a good time. That's what matters to me. So that's pretty much that was my kind of role as a starter. But yep.
So the Arsenal,
Oh,
touch on
right.
that
Yeah, I
real
get to
quick.
this.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, you're good. You're
Sorry,
good.
I got talking, missed it. But no, yeah. So as far as the Arsenal win, I was 87 to 88, topping out at like 89. I had somebody that said I hit 90, but there's no official of that one, sadly. I wish.
Yeah, it was
Um,
your right fielder's dad, right?
yeah, it
The
was my right fielder's dad was coming in.
Yep,
He had the unofficial radar gun back there, and he said it was I hit
exactly.
90 a couple times. So we like to say 90, but officially 89.
Hmm.
And then that was four seam, and then I threw a two seam that was 86, 87 with good spin, good movement. I threw a change. My changeup was about 78 to it was like 78 to 80. Slider was 81 to 84, and then curveball was 70 to 73.
All
Um,
right. So
so
real
they were
quick, what was the
mhm.
out pitch off of that?
The out pitch off of that.
Like you
Well,
got a
I
big
mean that
arsenal, right? You're throwing
it's
five
a
pitches as a
big
high school
arsenal, and the
guy.
best part about that big arsenal is it didn't I didn't need one pitch to get it. It wasn't like, oh, 2 everybody's getting that 0-2 curveball. It was okay, I beat this guy on a fastball up and in, and he was just completely late on it. I'll just do it again. I'll blow him away. The
Okay.
fastball, the guy that couldn't hit the slider, I'd get you with the slider. It didn't matter who you were, where you were. There was a pitch and it was going to get you. So
Okay.
all five pitches were my go-tos. I was attacking with everything. So, but if I had a favorite, it was definitely I loved throwing that slider to the back foot of the lefties.
Okay.
That
That's a
was
fun
always the
one.
fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess we'll go last question on this specific topic, but
Yeah.
have you ever had a hit by pitch strikeout?
Actually, I have. I don't know if it was a hit by pitch or not because I threw a slide. It was a slider to a left-handed hitter, and I mean, just buckled him, and it bounced off to the side. I don't know whether it got his shoe or whether it got like my catcher's shin guard on the inside, but it was one of the two.
Okay.
Just the ugliest swing you've ever seen in your whole life. I think I got it on video somewhere. I'm gonna pull that up
Oh,
one of
we
these
need
days.
that. We definitely need that. If we're talking about it on here, we need that clipped. So
I will track
that's going
that
to be
clip
your
down. I'll
homework
find it.
to track that
Yeah.
down. All right. So now we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. So we learned a little bit about who you are as a pitcher as well.
Yep.
No reason to beat around the bush. The reason that you are here with us today is you had TJ this past summer.
I did.
So tell us when you had it, real quick. It was in July, right?
Yeah, I had it July 20th of
Okay.
this year. Yep.
All right. And then what do you know about like TJ, the traditional rehab process or like surgeries, recovery rates? Is there much going through your head there, or are you just kind of a blind squirrel just looking for an acorn right now?
I remember when it first happened because I had about a week in between when it happened and when I had my surgery. When it first happened, I first felt it go, and I was like, "Oh, that's not supposed to feel like that." Because I
Hmm.
mean, primarily my whole career, I've had a couple of other little dings and dents like everybody else in the game, but I've never had any kind of serious arm injuries or anything like that. So when I felt it go, I was like, "Oh, that's not good." Immediately hopped on the internet. The first thing Google said is, "You'll never pitch again." I was like, "Well, that's not exactly what I was hoping to see."
Thanks,
But
Google.
everybody knows Google's a bit exaggerating sometimes. So I dug a little deeper on that. I started looking at like all the Tommy John recoveries and everything. And I had that protocol memorized before I started my surgery and everything else. And then I got my surgery, obviously, and started with that protocol. And after about 4 or 5 weeks of just that normal standard PT, 2 days a week, trying to get my motion back and everything else, I realized I was like, there's got to be, this is what everybody else is doing, but not everybody else is recovering as well as they
Mm-hmm.
should. There's a certain amount of guys that weren't recovering.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys that had some great results, but it seemed like it was all those guys that were the higher level guys, the Verlanders of
Mm-hmm.
the game. Verlander just came back off it, and he's had the best career of his season, or best year of his career.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, I was like, there's got to be, I feel like I'm missing something. There's a piece that's missing. And so I was talking to some of our people that we know, and obviously that's how we ended up getting connected. But
Right.
kind of that initial, there's got to be something more to it. So
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, you kind of are leading us down the path that I wanted to go with this conversation anyways. So you were following the traditional path for a little bit, which is kind of what you have to do. You're stuck in a sling. All they
yeah.
want you to do is be able to straighten your arm again,
Mhm.
get full flexion, get full extension, just be able to hang your arm at your side and not fear getting hurt again.
Pretty much.
But you have much higher aspirations than to just grab something off the top shelf at a grocery store. Right. So that's I'm assuming you had the conversation with your parents and you guys reached out to Peachy again, correct?
Yep. Correct.
All right.
That's right.
So that leads me to the question. So how is what you're doing different? So obviously we've got this guy Peachy. Tell me a bit about Peachy and like how different everything is for you right now.
Oh, as far as all that goes, I was doing we had just started the strength protocol section of the PT right as PG had gotten back into town to start working with me. I'll dive into his whole thing. And that was basically they had me doing these really light 2 pound weight exercises, trying to keep all the pressure off the elbow and everything else. They weren't really doing it in any manner that was specific to me. It was like they're just reading it off a sheet and going, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
No explanation why, no nothing. They weren't working on the rest of my body. They weren't trying to balance my left side with my right side. Nothing along those lines. Just, just do this and maybe you'll throw again someday. And
Hmm.
obviously when they told me that, I was like, okay, we're gonna call him. I'm calling Peachy again. I got to get back in touch with him and see if he's going to be in town. And thankfully, he's been coming into town and work with me. And little background on Peach. Let's see, I met Peach my freshman year of high school. Um, some way, somehow, my dad knew him, and we got in touch. I started working out with him my freshman year, a little bit during that COVID season and everything else. And back then, I wasn't anywhere near the player or the man that I am now. He taught me a lot about not just the game and everything else back then, but a lot about just how to be a better person
Mm-hmm.
and everything, which was really, really influential. I worked with him on and off freshman and sophomore year, just mostly speed and agility, trying to get me to lose a few pounds. I was the heavy set freshman, so
Hmm.
had to had to get myself down a bit. But he left my junior year to start working with the Padres. Obviously, he was one of their strength coaches for a while. I'm trying to figure out exactly what he said was his specification. It was he was working with all the Tommy John rehab guys and some of the injured pro guys and kind of that whole realm of things. So he got to see that from a whole different light. And he was working with those guys. And when he came back, he had always kind of had some unorthodox training methods,
Mm-hmm.
nothing crazy weird, but he took into account, he was like, well, yes, your arm needs to heal, but you also need to make sure that the rest of your body is working with it, not
Right.
when you come back, not working against it. And so the two of us have just been pounding away on mobility, 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 making sure my body moves as perfectly and as fluently as possible. We've been training on the left side. I've been throwing baseballs left-handed for the first time in my life.
Hmm.
That's been a little weird. It's been nice to be able to throw. I mean, I'm
Right.
not saying it's accurate, but it's throwing. So that's been fun. There's some good footage of me throwing football routes to him left-handed, everything else, and having a great time with it. And so that's been big. And it's actually I've put on almost all the weight that I lost after surgery
Okay.
because he couldn't do anything upper body wise. So just all of
Right.
this lost it all. But we've been putting it back on. He's been working with me on my grip strength and being able to actually grip weights again for the first time. Um, so I mean, his whole side of things has been completely different from a traditional, just work out the one little bit
Hmm.
and maybe it'll get better. It's no, we're going to get everything perfect so that when you do come back, you're healthy, you're stronger, and most importantly, you're taking all the stress off the elbow and putting it elsewhere.
So rounding out the edges here a little bit. So
Mhm.
my connection with Peachy, which you obviously know,
Yep.
Peachy and I crossed paths out at the training complex for the Padres in Arizona. So we were working out there with FlexPro Grip. Uh, Peachy brought on. I met him sometime during the spring. Don't really entirely remember when it was, but I was like, there's something about this guy. I find him super interesting. And Peachy and I just started spending more and more time together, running questions back and forth, training at the same time during the day. And as you said, Peachy was just kind of the jack of all trades when he was at the complex. He was with different positions, different pitchers, whether it was healthy guys, whether it was injured guys, rehabbing, different stages of rehab. From my perspective, Peachy really understands movement well.
Yes, he
I
does.
don't
That is
know if
for
we can
sure.
label him a movement specialist, but that's where I watch Peachy as a high performance coach, and that's where I see the differences in what you are doing versus what the traditional approach is. So then moving on from here, we also have we're burying the lead a little bit,
Yep.
but we have the FlexPro Grip device. So that's where Peachy kind of became our invisible string that connected us together. So yeah, so you got
Yep.
yours, I got
You
mine.
got mine. Yeah,
We're
you got
yeah,
mine.
we're strapped up and we're ready to go. But so Peachy helped me out a lot when we were out at the complex, training the pro guys, the pitchers with the pods. Uh, with running some protocols, monitoring, especially when I was on the road. And when you and Peachy started training together, Peachy had this awesome idea to utilize FlexPro Grip within your rehab. So what is FlexPro Grip? Like people have heard me talk about it, they've heard Daryl talk about it, but now let's hear it from you.
Well, for me right now, Flex Pro Grip is a lifesaver. It's getting me, it's gonna get me back on the field. That's what's gonna matter at the end of the day. But I noticed the main thing that was bothering me about traditional rehab is there was nothing that they were doing for forearm strengthening. I wasn't getting any kind of grip strength back. I mean, my forearm was a quarter of the size that it should be. I mean, I had lost all of that. There was no strength at all. I mean, I was getting tired writing. Like that shouldn't happen. So obviously pre Flex Pro Grip when I was working with Peachy and I had been doing certain things. We had been grabbing medicine balls a little bit and started with
Right, the
some light hand
fingers.
compressions, trying to work the fingers out a little bit and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Just started really light and everything else. And everything that we were doing with that, he was having me do finger presses and everything else, opening the hand up. Actually, I can't. He usually does it with his hand. I don't have the right hand for it to do it with, but and all of that other stuff. And I realized once I got the Flex Pro Grip, it was all of the stuff that he had taken from what he'd learned from you guys over at Flex Pro Grip, and he was just doing it without the machine, which is
Mm-hmm.
it was a little imprecise and it was a little crude method of doing it, but it was working. And so
Right.
from those gains that I'd already gotten there, now I'm transferring into the Flex Pro Grip and everything else, and my forearm and everything else, forearm, fingers, elbow, everything feels great. It feels stronger than it's been. And I can tell already. I mean, I was a little sore after that first session. I was like, ah, it's really hitting the right spots. And I can tell already just within a couple of sessions, it's helping a lot. It's making a difference. So
Awesome.
now that we have that, we're incorporating that into our work and everything else. It's just moon's the limit or stars the limit, whatever you want to say. It's going
So
up.
so you've gone through a couple of sessions now. We're technically 4 sessions deep with you,
Yep.
plus one testing day.
Mhm.
So what what are your impressions so far? You said you feel like you've already gotten stronger, but kind of like walk us through your approach. Like, are there certain percentages you're training at? Like I know, like I can talk on it. Obviously, we're giving you objective data. I just want to
Yep.
hear your feedback on what you're perceiving, what you're feeling, and how you feel you're progressing numbers wise.
That's what's been great about this whole process and everything else. And what's been great about working with you is you guys actually explained to me what it was I was doing and why I was doing it. What was the reason behind it? That was a really in-depth look at why we were strengthening those muscles around the elbow and to keep everything else safe and protected and really keep myself healed up well. But we did that initial testing on the left hand, and we've been using those numbers. The first 3 sessions we did with the right hand were all at 30% of those numbers. And this week, actually today, we stepped it up to 40% of that pressure on all of the metrics from the left hand. So we're working slow, not pressing it too hard. Still feel it. It's not easy. 40% of the left is about 100% of my right, but it's getting there. It's getting there slowly. And I can already tell just off today's session. I remember the first flexion session we did with the right hand. Um, my ring finger and my pinky were really weak. And I felt
Hmm.
it today. Now we were up 10% from the last time we did it, and it
Right.
felt easier than the last time. So that's
Awesome.
already improvement shown. So um, can't wait to see that graph after like 3 months of where my numbers have gone and everything else.
I
So
know.
I'll be
I'm
looking
so
forward to seeing
excited.
that.
So excited to see that dashboard, even a couple of weeks from now, because uh, obviously, knock on wood, we don't want any setbacks, but
Yes, definitely.
we're planning on progressing 10% until we get up to that 70% mark, and
Yep.
then performing the first test on your right hand. So I mean, we're just a couple few weeks away from that, from right where we sit right now. And I'm just so excited to see where it goes because I mean, your left hand strength numbers are matching, especially when we look at your mid finger, that's
Yep.
matching a lot of the pro guys that we're working with. So if we can get that to the fingertip, it gets me excited for the way that you're going to be able to pressure and move a ball again when you're healthy and back out on the field. Because we know you have that strength. It's just about finding it again and rehabbing those specific muscles that are there to protect your UCL.
Yeah, no, definitely. It'll be good if we can get all of that extra little bit to my fingertips. My spin rates were already high and they'll be even higher now. I mean, that's just only gonna make baseball that much harder for the hitters facing me. So,
Love that.
yep.
Hey, it's the
No,
secret of the flexor digitorum profundus. Not everyone's going to know that yet, but they're going to know about it one day, and you're going to be the reason why they know about it.
yep. One day it will be all the everybody will be looking. Where can I get one? Where can I buy one? We got to
So
get
talk
this.
to Carter.
Everybody's got to have one.
That's what we're going to say. Talk to Carter. He's handling all the calls. But all right, so we're gonna flip gears again.
All right.
We're gonna kind of end this like last 5 minutes just talking about your baseball career again. So you're an uncommitted senior. That can be super tough, right? You're not playing this year. Um, so you're still trying to find a school, get recruited, get seen while you're on the bench. So you're gonna have to train like crazy. You're gonna have to find alternative ways to show who you are, like with your current situation. So with that, like I really just want to know like how you're feeling and how you think you can set yourself apart, the way anybody who's rehabbing hasn't been able to before.
I mean, for me, when it first happened, that first 48 hours after I blew it, I knew it. I didn't even need to see the MRI yet. It was MRI was only going to confirm what I'd already known. So I mean, that first 48 hours was rough. There was a lot of like, you know, this is this isn't good. This might be the end. Kind of, and I pulled myself out of it after that first 48 hours and was like, all right, look, let's get our let's reach out to everybody that was at that game. There was 23 or 24 Division 1 scouts at my last game to watch me blow it out. Obviously, I did record an out with a blown UCL, so I didn't let up any runs. So that's the most that's the most important part. But I started reaching out to all the schools that I'd been talking to, and it was rough. It was kind of just come back off surgery at this point. And it was just one phone call after another. Look, sorry, you're an injured guy. We can't take you. If you're going to be class, let us know. And it felt like I had 24 of the same phone calls the whole way down the list. And that was tough because I was getting ready to watch all my friends commit at the end of the summer. I'd already
Mm-hmm.
had a couple go early in the summer. Some of my buddies that I know committed as early as sophomore and junior year. And it was like, at the end of the day, I was that guy that was always middle of the road or better. And in my last year and a half, I'd really pushed and gotten to be that top class guy.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was, top class guy, no offers, and school started in a week. And it was like, what am I going to do? What can I do? What is there that I even can do at this point? So sat down with my parents. We started writing emails, started pulling film together, started trying to get it out to whoever and whatever schools that we were still targeting, obviously, schools that I wanted to go to, and schools that would make sense for me to go to, because I'm a high academic student. I want to go somewhere that I can get a good education, because I know how far that can take me in this life. Even if I mean, I'm hoping I never have to use my degree. I'm hoping I get it, I put it on a wall somewhere and forget I got it, get to go play baseball for the rest of my life. But it's always good to have that fail safe in case, obviously, this happens. So um started sending out all those emails. We got a couple of responses, talking to a couple of schools now. But as far as I can say, for anybody else in my situation, it's just all about staying positive. I got back from surgery, and I didn't take my pain meds or anything, because those things are so bad for you at this point. It's not even fun. And not just, if you're gonna get surgery, don't take them. It's, trust me, it's worth it. But
Let us put the little disclaimer from not Dr. Carter
yes,
Giffin.
from not a doctor. If you trust your doctor, whatever your doctor says, I'm not a doctor. I
Or a
should not be
medical
making these
professional.
claims.
But hey, it's personal opinion.
Yes,
No, I get it. Like
yes, yeah.
it can take a major toll on you. And
Mhm.
like you're already feeling so negative. So it's like why do you want to do other things that are gonna make you feel
That are
worse?
just gonna bring you even further down. And so my painkillers for me was, I got that, like, after 6 days of surgery, got myself back home to Florida, and I immediately got myself back in the gym, doing anything and everything I could, core
Mhm.
work, legs, just trying to keep myself going a little bit. And I got myself out of that pretty quickly. Once I got myself back positive, it's all uphill from there. You just got to keep going. Each day, you got to get up and you got to make the choice. You got to say, you know what? I don't get to do the thing I love today, but I get to do everything else, so that when I get the chance to do what I love again, I can do it better and faster and harder than anybody else can. So
That's
that's the way
great.
I've been looking at it. That's the way I've been taking it. Um, my college will work itself out as long as I get myself back to where I need to be. I'll figure it out. So,
Hey, well, you kind of stole my next question from me. I was going to say, what kind of school are you looking for? But you're saying it's just going to work itself out, which I think is awesome. I think that's a great mentality, especially with where you are. So let's do a little teaser real quick. I want you to just kind of like run a little walkthrough what our plan is. Like, how are we going to show coaches that you are ready to go? What's we said you're doing rehab differently already. So what are we together doing differently? Well, how are we going to show everyone that you're good to go?
well, I mean, the only way to show people that you're good to go is to, prove it. Get the film, get everything together. And I've been putting together a bunch of stuff with Peachy and everything else. Going to give that all to you guys. I'm going to start filming my sessions on the FlexPro Grip and continue to show my numbers and show my upward trends. And I'm just going to show that I'm doing rehab better than anybody else. Obviously, once I start throwing, it'll show a little bit more for certain people once I start throwing. But in the meantime, I'm going to do everything I possibly can, and I'm going to show everybody else that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm coming to get it.
Hey, I love that. So, just in conclusion, I know you guys are going to see a lot of Carter over the coming months because we're going to be checking in on these kind of interviews. We're going to be training. Like he said, he's going to be filming his own sessions. Y'all are going to get to know Peachy, one of the greatest high performance coaches in the game right now. But you heard him, he's a high academic kid. test scores off the charts, GPA off the charts, and he was an 87 to 89 ready with good spin, good breakers, good control prior to this. Um, we all know it's a fight to get back, but he's going to be better than ever. So guys, take his name down now, and take a chance on this guy.
Thank you very much for that. That means a
Of
lot.
of course. All right. Well, FlexPro Grip crew. Until next time, I'll think of a cool sign off at some point. But
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
see
come
y'all
up with
later.
something. We'll see y'all later.